counties in the United States is on the increase. Almost every state in the United States reports feral or community or colony, whatever you want to call them, rabbits living on private property, schoolyards. In the Las Vegas case, there's a large colony right now in one of the parks, went on a golf course, and there's a mental health facility that they recently wrapped up a rescue effort of 500 buddies that were living on the mental health grounds. Right. I think that rabbits are just one of those animals that people associate so closely with wild rabbits, cottontails, and hares. It seems to be almost a natural assumption that they can do well by themselves. You know, put them out there with some grass and other rabbits, and they're going to be fine. Well, what we're talking about here is domestic rabbits. They have very little, we basically bred out a lot of their instincts. So you put them out somewhere in a park and dump them, they have very little resources. First of all, they don't know the area, they don't know where to hide. They are often, if there's other rabbits, they may not be accepted by those rabbits. There's traffic, there's predators, and there's disease. So usually dump rabbits have a fairly short life. Now, if the conditions at a dumping ground, if I can call it that, if they're appropriate, meaning the climate is not too bad and there's enough grasses and there's not too many predators, they will multiply. In case you were not aware, domestic rabbits can become pregnant all year round. Their gestation is 28 days, and they can become pregnant the day they deliver. And they also have pretty big litters. I mean, 7 to 11 or 12, not uncommon. So you can see in a year's time, one breeding rabbit can multiply into many. People will also see dumping grounds as the place. This especially happened in Long Beach City College in California. There have been rabbits living there, domestic rabbits, for about 30 years, and it became known as the dump site. So the maintenance guys would say, oh yeah, we'd see a car pull up last night, and the door would open and they'd shove out their rabbits. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. You know, and rabbits, I mean, they're so darn cute. You know how they are. Little noses and puffy, and they're just adorable. So people generally like them for a while whenever they're in their neighborhood. You know, pretty cute little Easter bunnies running around, and always good until the group grows and grows and grows. And then the landscaping is getting destroyed. They become invasive. On the college grounds, they dug holes in the track field, you can imagine. That didn't go over very well. But the other big downside to that is they will draw predators to the area. In Las Vegas, some of the parks, I mean, there was definitely an increase in coyotes, fox. Some areas there were mountain lions. So, you know, you don't want to have your children in the park or on the school grounds thinking that there are coyotes and so forth. So that's another downside to having these rabbit populations on a public ground, especially, or your own property. So what usually happens with these guys, unfortunately, when the population gets too big and people are tired of them, the city or animal services come in, or the city hires a pest company, and the rabbits are usually destroyed, and not very humanely. All right. Most surrenders and shelters, and I should ask, do any of you that work in shelters take in rabbits? Good. Thank you. Most rabbits that are surrendered are unaltered adults. So it may be that, somebody did not want to pay for the surgery. Rabbit care is also expensive, which I think is a deterrent to shelters taking them in as well. So it's more that their medical care can be very expensive. I have just a few statistics on rabbits that I'll share with you about why they are surrendered. First of all, and most of these studies are not from the United States, but the top reason for rabbits being surrendered in the, let me back up. 34% of rabbits that are surrendered to a shelter, not dumped, but surrendered, are surrendered within the first 6 months of their lives. So you can see, it's sort of like a puppy. They're pretty cute and adorable when they're little, and I think they're always adorable. But the rabbit gets a little bigger, doesn't really want to be held anymore, and is not the cuddly little pet that mom and dad thought they were going to get for the kids, and the rabbit surrendered. 59% of rabbits, especially those bought around Easter time, are surrendered within the first year of their life. Kind of another interesting fact about surrender is that smaller bunnies are surrendered less and are actually dumped less. People don't, or babies. People want to keep the babies. They want to keep these little, cute little lop-eared bunnies that don't get very big and always look cuddly. Those aren't surrendered or dumped as often. Most of the large dump sites I have seen have been bigger, up-eared rabbits. Okay, a study in Sweden found that the top 3 reasons for surrendering rabbits are people didn't want to spend the time anymore with them, didn't have the time, the owner was moving, or they had allergies. And by the way, cat hair and rabbit hair is a very different thing. Most people who think they're allergic to rabbits are often allergic to the hay and the grasses. I did some of my own research in 2008 to see if I could find some more statistics about how many rabbits were